Hello, hello, hello.
Hey,
Good evening.
good evening.
Rich, how you doing?
With the cool glasses. Hey, Eric.
Yeah, that's the sign of age around here.
Uh-huh.
Cool glasses.
That's all right.
Yes.
That's all right. That's all right. We can still have age and still be cool, though.
I'm trying. I'm trying to keep up with Talisha. So
Uh-huh.
What happened? What did I do now?
No, we're just talking about your style, commenting, giving
Yeah.
you.
Oh, did I do something? What I do? I'm always having trouble. You can tell I'm the first time.
Sure, you always got the cool glasses. She says she's trying to keep up with you.
Oh no, yeah, I only got one pair of cool. And she has several. Yeah, I can't. Mine
do
are so
agree.
expensive because I am blind. We don't do but one pair at a time.
I do agree, Sheree. Like you do bring the style with the.
I love the red ones, but you got to see her red, white, and blue ones. Those are
yeah.
Okay.
Talisha's the only one that's seen those because those
Yeah.
are
Love
upstairs by my bedroom. So I only wear those, when I'm reading in bed.
Yeah.
It's got some.
Position myself centered. Okay.
Okay, I'm just getting Facebook set up, everybody, and then
time.
we'll start in a couple of minutes. Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome to the Richard Davis interview. That's just my name, my temporary name for it. So we're going to be talking with Richard tonight. Richard looking like he is about to drop some knowledge on us. Yes,
Sure.
Percy.
Oh, no pressure, right?
All about you.
Yeah.
And then we also have a couple of articles to go through as well. So we don't have to put the pressure entirely on you, Richard.
Okay.
There was actually an interesting PwC report that came out that talked about blockchain's global effect is expected to be 1.76 trillion by 2030. So
Wow.
we want to take a look at that. And then also there is a congressional blockchain caucus instead of the Congressional Black Caucus, or in addition to, I should say. So there was a recent article that they're trying to get some legislation passed through the House of Representatives. So we're also going to take a look at that as well. And just, mix it up, have a little bit of fun. It's kind of a laid back blockchain chat tonight. So
Maybe I should loosen my tie,
yeah, you can loosen the tie. Absolutely. So, excuse the dog. We'll get started. So, hello, everybody. You know, if it's Wednesday, it's Blockchain Day. So, welcome to Blockchain Chat. I'm Cherie. My dog seems to be having an interesting time in the background, so just please forgive us here. But we're all about the business of blockchain here. So blockchain jobs, blockchain-based businesses, investing in the blockchain, whether you're investing time or money into a project, and ultimately building wealth from this $1 trillion plus industry. 3.2 trillion is what we originally had, and I think it's going to be even more than that. So, so we always talk about the business of blockchain. We've added something new to what we're going to be doing from now on, especially through 2021, and that is our blockchain mastermind. So 2 to 3 times a quarter, we are going to be getting together, talking about our blockchain projects. Richard was there, Percy was there, others were there on Monday. So Richard and Talisha, I'm gonna let you two respond. What did you think of it? It is a members only benefit. So that's gonna be one of the big things. If you're thinking about really getting serious about blockchain, then that mastermind is going to pay for itself overwhelmingly. So Talisha, Richard, do you guys want to give some feedback? And Percy, you could put something in the chat as well. What did you think of our first mastermind like that?
Oh, it was great. I mean, it was definitely some things that I can add to what I'm going to be doing in terms of consulting and intellectual property to also and having multiple income streams. Just brainstorming in the mastermind meeting, in addition to bringing up some old ideas that I've had in the past, and I'm actually running with it, you know, all day today through work and such, and even creating a domain name. And I've already created a crypto domain name, so it's been building up to that. So yesterday was an exclamation mark. It's like, okay, it's time to go, you know, revamp the, you know, the executive summary and from one thing to another, and and start the ball rolling.
Good for you. I love action. I mean, even if you do one little thing like reserve a domain name, you know, and then you do something else, and then you do something else. So I love that. Talisha, what did you think?
The ideas were amazing. I think that's where, you know, people always think, oh, maybe I'll just keep it in my mind and not share it. But once you heard out loud and you're like, oh, I do have something. And I think the validation was there. I think we can expand upon it. That's the whole point. Like, you have it in your own mind what it could be. And then we could just always, I think that's the best part about getting into a group, is that other people come at it from a whole different vantage point. And that, I think, the collaboration was at forefront, and it made everything seem so much more tangible and also much more elaborate. So we gave you a little more than what you like. Now you're getting was this little piece. It's like, no, let's do the whole big thing. And that's what happened. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great because people got a chance to say, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And I gave feedback, and Talisha gave feedback, and Percy gave feedback, and others gave feedback. And we were kind of able to mold, you know, some consulting businesses. For example, I suggested something where two people on the mastermind get together and work together because they're, you know, kind of going after the same market in a way. We talked about leveraging Ron Story's customer development survey. So, you know, we had a lot that we went through. Percy is saying, it's great to hear what others are thinking of doing, and it's great to get feedback on career thoughts. Speaking of action, I already identified 40 people on LinkedIn who I plan to send messages to. Yay! Love it. So, two final things is, number one, if you're not a part of Black Blockchain Consultants, we would love to have you. It's $100 a year to be a part of our organization. Go to blockchainstudies.tech. Number two, if you are watching this, especially on YouTube for the replay, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We are so close to getting to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So, you know, I keep pushing for it every week. So with that, Richard, tell us some of the things that you are doing. First of all, let the family again know a little bit about yourself, and then some of the things that you're doing in blockchain. How'd you find Black Blockchain Consultants? All of that good stuff.
Okay, so how I found Black Blockchain Consultants was a couple of years ago. A matter of fact, when I was actually dabbling in Bitcoin or what have you, and I'm just networking because I love to network through LinkedIn, Facebook, and I came upon your summit and saw what you had to offer in addition to a membership. So I bought the whole thing, became and still a member of the Black Blockchain Consultants, and just soaking in as much information as I can, linking up with some of the speakers to also in that summit, or I'm still connected to till this day. So as I've been trading, my past history, I was trading equities. I was day trading, and also trading stock options too, also through T3 Capital Management, who I was trained by a coach, Michael Kvetnoy, who's taught me a lot about technical analysis. So it kind of brought back art and science, reading charts and such. And but what I do know about blockchain technology is that not only with the introduction of Bitcoin, but looking into blockchain technology, I know blockchain technology is the whole game. and that's where I'm here to stay. So part of my history also spans a couple of industries, where as an entrepreneur, it spans in law as a corporate paralegal for 15 years at a top international law firm. In addition to the music industry, I've done some consulting there and managing some artists and a producer, in addition to where I'm currently right now in healthcare as a talent acquisition specialist. But with all those industries coming together as an entrepreneur and also as an entrepreneur, blockchain technology is actually it. And utilizing those experiences that I've had in the past with regards to being an entrepreneur and an entrepreneur in the past as future entrepreneur, I'm putting those things together with regards to blockchain technology and what it has to offer with regards to whether it's smart contracts, tokenization, which I'm very excited about. And I know we're working on something in Black Blockchain Consultants and getting tokenization. And that's leading into something that I'm working on now, and is tokenizing a game, which is my passion of actually learning and actually training with regards to trading, short-term trading and long-term investing. Mm-hmm. And I've actually went back to a domain name, which I'm happy to find that I actually purchased before, and I lost it, and I'm happy to know that it was actually available today. So I bought that domain name today, actually about a month ago, Unstoppable Domains, which is brand new today now, right? About 2 months ago, I coined that name, and the name is Trade the Setup. Now, in the trading industry, you're always talking about the setup. So we just trade the setup. So if you see trade the setup.crypto or tradethesetup.com, that's mine. You can always send Ethereum or Bitcoin to tradethesetup.crypto. Feel free.
You're accepting donations now, right? You put it
Absolutely.
out
there. But of course, and a portion will go back to Black Blockchain Consultants and the 10K project too also.
Thank you. Shout out to both organizations. Definitely.
Absolutely.
No, we don't want your money. We want your success. So
absolutely.
Yeah, we want you to be successful. So walk us through a little bit more about the game. And Eric is all smiles here because tokenization is his thing. So walk us through a little bit more about the game itself and how it's going to work and how you plan on developing it. You don't have to give away any trade secrets, obviously, but just kind of walk us through your journey as an entrepreneur with regards to doing this.
Well, definitely with the game as a teaching tool, because as I was learning at T3 Capital Manager at a prop firm, and learning through Michael K, I felt that there's a way how to learn this particular industry and this particular craft without blowing out your account, because between 80 and 95% of those that actually try this particular industry, they fail. So I'm always trying to find a way. How could we have somebody sustain themselves as a teaching tool? So basically, without giving any trade secrets, because you can look this up through YouTube videos and what have you, is basically looking at technical analysis. But that isn't the end, because you also mix it with news. So the platform that I actually thought about is actually through chart recognition and candlestick recognitions. When you look at a chart, we use basically basic candlesticks. And I actually came up with an explanation quite some time ago, and actually surprised myself in actually knowing how to read candlesticks. And basically is this. Each candlestick, you can actually think of it as a letter of the alphabet. And as you group them together, they form words. Words form sentences, sentences into paragraphs, and paragraphs into chapters and books and novels. And then there's the way how they come together in certain shapes. They form whether it's a channel or whether it's a diamond shape or a head and shoulders and such, and mix in, which is kind of exciting with different things like Fibonacci's. These are all different indicators that you can mix in. But what trumps everything is news. And that's where it can get exciting. We can add news. So
was the pun intended or not?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't a bigger joke.
No, not at all. I mean, I have fun with this. It's fun because it mixes arts and science and the real world and psychology and such, because any financial instrument or different financial instruments, or depending on the industry, can be moved by certain types of news, especially with Trump in office and different CEOs and such, whether they come on board or they get fired, just like Apple with Steve Jobs, when the board actually fired him and they didn't do so well, they had to bring him back, and here we are, trillions of dollars later. Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I understand he wasn't the best to work for, but he was brilliant at leading
right.
that organization. Yeah. So,
Right.
I'm sorry, you're continuing on with your trading thing, and then I have another question for you
Sure.
about tokenization.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's what I was getting to in light of what's happening in tokenization within gaming and using blockchain technology. That's something that is the best of all worlds, with regards to having it as a teaching tool, having it tokenized, where it can have many revenue streams and have the revenue stream for the user and the actual player themselves too also.
Yeah, so I have a client who teaches STEM to Black boys specifically, Black and Hispanic boys. And they have been doing a lot of gamification around that. They've got, their first game set up, and they've got others in the pipeline. And one of the things that I foresee for, somebody like you is starting off with your first training tool as a beta for how to do this, and then helping other people launch tokenization for their games that teach, XYZ, and how do you, we talk about the on-ramp all the time. So for anybody who's new, who's watching out there, if you think about Facebook, there was a time when people didn't know what Facebook was, how to log in, how to set up a profile, all the things we take for granted today. And there were people who helped them get on the on-ramp. Well, there are going to be people who do that for tokenization, smart contracts, blockchain security, other aspects of blockchain. And what we want to do within BBC is have some of our people be there on the on-ramp to help people get on and get paid for it. So if I ever say that metaphor, that's what I mean for anyone who's out there. But for you, I see something like that as well, because people are going to be looking for somebody like, oh, wow, Richard, you did that for your, trading academy. I've got this game over here that teaches kids financial literacy. I want to do the same thing, right? So I think there's an expanded way for you to use what you're starting with, and kind of, have it affect other areas that maybe you hadn't even thought of before. People teach all sorts of stuff, and want to gamify it.
Absolutely. Great advice.
Yeah.
And that was part of the mastermind, what we was talking about yesterday, and how it can start off in one area, and you're actually to go to, just like you said, was it your mother was an accountant?
Yes.
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 And she was known for that part of it. QuickBooks.
For QuickBooks, she was.
Yes.
Still is, actually. She still has people calling her. She's not taking on any new clients, but yeah.
Yeah, and I actually kind of see that area in me that's kind of like me. My personality is really not to stick with one area. If I can share the knowledge of what I have, that's why when the question came about, do you have a product, or do you have a project, or are you looking to be a consultant? And I said yes and yes, and that was the answer.
Yeah.
Part of the answer.
And Talisha is famous for talking about systematizing what you're doing and operationalizing it.
It's a
So
very important aspect because that's how, again, onboarding starts, is that, is it replicatable? Can you do this? And it has to be business and industry agnostic. It just has to be processed very specifically. And so you can plug and play any of the elements of like, okay, do what step one first, but step one is always first, no matter in what industry you're going to. So I love the idea.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. My stint in the law firm, I see so many boilerplate, because I read documents after documents. They just change the names, what they agree upon, but there's a system in place. When you can duplicate that,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's an incredible sight to see.
Yes. So, Eric, before you go, Percy has a question for you, Richard. So would the gamification of technical analysis be around the trader being rewarded when they recognize a particular technical setup? Like if the trader recognizes a head and shoulders pattern in real time, then they acquire a token? He wants more details on how to play the game so he can get his tokens.
Oh, absolutely. And then you can lose tokens too, because basically it'll be this. Because when you recognize the pattern, it'll either be the pattern completion or pattern failure. And that's why in trading, you have certain stops. You'll have your stop loss trading, that'll be a part of it. So the ability to have more winners than losers and manage your portfolio, which you'll do in the real world, because this will be a real world setup as a training for you to be successful, whether you're a trader or a long-term investor.
Is this kind of like paper trading or the beginning of it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I never did that when I was a kid, but I heard about other kids doing the paper. Like at the time, it really was paper trading. You would open up the paper and see what the stock price ended at, and you would keep track of, how your portfolio was doing. But this is a new version of it. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric, I know the Titan of tokenization needs to speak.
No, I actually don't. I mean, I just love listening and hearing everyone's ideas and that. And Richard and I have connected and, talked about a few things. Like one thing I would say too, first of all, Richard talking about the tokenization of intellectual property and also gaming. I mean, that is just so big that we're seeing things happen where a lot of like the in-game characters and in-game, like whatever you would be, is being tokenized. And, just recently, like Delphi Digital, like the cryptocurrency investment firm, I mean, they spent $162,000 buying one of these characters in this game called Axie Infinity. If you go check that out. And it's kind of like you look at that and you go, and I remember reading the article and going, okay, I looked at the character, it looks incredibly simple. Like anyone could probably do this character at any time on, whatever kind of program you need to go create it. But I read the article and kind of their thought process on it. And it was, and everyone remembers like crypto kitties and how the kitties would go and they would mate and then the new kitty would come out and that sort of thing and all of this sort of stuff. And they were seeing this game of being, once again, this whole ecosystem. And then this character they bought is going to mate with other characters and create. And it was so weird because I was thinking of this, wow, $162,000 is what they spent on that one character. And I'm just saying this, that like we have new markets and new ecosystems being created right around us. And Sheree, when you're talking about, young Black and brown kids coming in, I want them to bring themselves into these spaces. And just like what we talked about, Talisha, too, of like being the lower barrier of entry, where they could kind of get in now and they begin to be able to start creating these ecosystems themselves. And man, who knows where we would be.
They're starting to already. Actually, I because I had to do research for this client, there are hip hop science shows now where you rap your science presentation, and the best rap wins, and there's just all sorts of creativity. I'm surprised that these things aren't more mainstream, because I consider myself, a person that hears about a lot of different things, but that seems to be very underground right now, and I wish stuff like that would be more mainstream. because I think that more kids are getting into STEM than people give them credit for, and it's not making the news. So employers are not expecting to see us when they, open up a job opportunity. So, but that's just a thought that I have.
Sheree, I got one question I need to ask Richard, because Richard
Yes.
said something to me that was really intriguing, and he's being very modest here. Okay, but he did go out and acquire some domain names. I'm not going to put you out there, Richard, but I was looking at them and I just was blown away. Like, okay, this is genius. So I'm asking you, Richard, for this kind of arbitrage where you're going out and you're seeing that, what are you looking at when you're looking to go out and acquire some of these domains? Where I'm looking at it, I'm going, man, that probably could be very valuable in the future once we start pushing towards mass adoption. So what do you what is your thought process when you're going out and doing something like that?
Well, sometimes it's just like association, because I have a friend of mine, what Eric is talking about, I have a friend of mine that collects comics. I'm going to consult with him to tokenize his comic book collection and maybe take it a step further. So I'm thinking about NFTs, the new thing, the rise of NFTs and what have you. So I thought about probably the biggest, franchise out there is Marvel. So I just bought NFT Marvel and Marvel NFT.crypto.
Yeah.
That's what works. I mean, we know that's the business. So, and I think just like the takeoff of that also is fan fiction. We have seen fan fiction kind of explode. I mean, this is not so much what I consider public. There's a lot of feedback. I'm sorry if it's me. But all along, I think we've seen different people come into that space and fan fiction take off into its own space. But when you have a digital comic book, that in itself is a whole ecosystem. They created that purposely. And then subsequently it grows and grows just by participation. Again, what blockchain is all about. So I'm thinking pairing those, again, just that low barrier of entry with things that are already very viable that go together and now just need a way of monetization. Those are what we're looking for to kind of connect. And those are very easy to do because that's what they're already doing. And it just now has a monetization aspect that they're adding to it.
Yeah, I think that's the future. Go ahead, Richard. I'm sorry.
No, I said, man, it's just, I'm just excited. I'm sometimes I get lost for words because I'm so excited about this industry and how creative we can get. I mean, for those that are listening out there, it's almost like limitless. When they're talking about, let's just segue into the non-fungible tokens, the article that you mentioned, by 2027, this is a $27 trillion industry.
Tokenization,
Just tokenization, whether it's especially asset-backed, and you can get very creative with it. I like the arts, so anything artsy, whether it's music, whether it's visual, even if it's just business, just to be very creative with it, just take your mind, when you think something is outlandish, it's probably you're right. This is something that is going to take off, Yeah.
So Victoria's saying, I love the idea of incentivizing the learning of TA. When I first started trading, I didn't find paper trading to be very helpful because I didn't have anything at stake. I had to blow up my account a few times before I realized I should probably pay attention to the indicators, LOL. Gamifying and tokenizing the process is brilliant. So,
wow.
Thoughts about that, Richard?
My heart goes out to that person because I've known a couple of people, and that's what made my mind go. Is like, why do people have to blow out their accounts? And it's hard with just paper trading because obviously your money is not on the line. You don't have any emotions, and that's the hardest thing, to have money on the line and to be able to control your emotions. The two emotions that you have to conquer, just to segue, is greed and fear. If you just look at whether it's the indicators, reading the charts, then of course, news trumps everything. And that's the added part in there. You might be looking at trade and you're looking at something that you're going to go either long or short, and all of a sudden news comes out and you're long in a trade. Most people just go long on a trade and just say, oh yeah, it'll go back up, but it just won't. It just could blow you out of your account. I've seen that happen, so that's going to be fun, creating something like that and see what type of news which will trump everything if the chart isn't going right. And that's what's happening right now in the markets now. That's going to be the added value, because paper trading doesn't add any news, that missing link. And I'm saying missing link to plug something that we'll talk about a little later as we come to the summit. I'm actually plugging that title for our blockchain summit, Finding the Missing Link.
I love it. I love that. Look, that's a theme.
Yep.
So yeah. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go through two articles here. And Richard and everybody else, you want to get your feedback on this as well. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is about PwC. They had a news release. Blockchain tech could boost the global economy $1.76 trillion by 2030 through raising levels of tracking, tracing, and trust. Tracking and tracing of products and services has the largest economic potential of $962 billion. I want to stop right there. I spoke with a gentleman yesterday named Lester, who is coming to speak to us about, at the 10K project, about the pallet industry. Because you all know, within 10K, I want people to be introduced to different industries as well. I had no idea how many billions, I think he said it was $500 billion a year, is spent in pallets, constructing pallets, shipping pallets, recycling. He does recycling of pallets. There are GPS systems in pallets. I had had no idea. I'm telling you, I had no idea. So just seeing this here, and he was saying about other parts of the industry as well, but he said, pallets is something that we don't really think about, yet there's huge money in it. And I always say that a lot of the money is in the boring stuff. And pallets is a boring thing, and this is part of the tracking and tracing of products here. So I just wanted to say that public administration, education, and healthcare sectors are going to benefit the most, according to PwC. And blockchain could have the highest potential net benefit for China and the United States. So that is the key finding, the 1.76 trillion of a new PwC report, Time for Trust, the $1 trillion reason to rethink blockchain. Number one thing I will say is, if you are a blockchain consultant seriously, you need to download this report and you need to read it word for word. They are going to ask you for your email address. You can give them a Yahoo account or whatever, but that's part of your assignment, is for you to go and get your hands on this original report and read it. So they have this report assessing how the technology is currently being used and exploring the impact blockchain could have on the global economy. Through analysis of the top 5 uses of blockchain, ranked by their potential to generate economic value, the report gauges the technology's potential to create value across industries, from healthcare, government, and public services to manufacturing, finance, logistics, and retail. The report identifies 5 key application areas of blockchain and assesses their potential to generate economic value using economic analysis and industry research. The analysis suggests a tipping point in 2025 as blockchain tech is expected to be adopted at scale across the economy. So one of the first things I wanted you to notice, and a lot of people have around this time period of 2025, right? So just keeping that in mind. Another thing that they say down here, blockchain success will depend on a supportive policy environment, a business ecosystem that is ready to explore the new opportunities that tech opens, and a suitable industry mix. Across all continents, Asia will likely see the most economic benefits from blockchain. In terms of individual countries, blockchain could have the highest net benefit in China and the United States. 5 other countries, Germany, Japan, UK, India, and France, are also estimated to have net benefits over $50 billion. I highlighted this because if you're interested in doing international business, you want to keep up with what's happening in these countries as well. The benefits for each country differ. However, with manufacturing-focused economies such as China and Germany benefiting more from provenance and traceability, while the US would benefit most from its application and securitization and payments, as well as identity and credentials. I think this is the last thing I have here. Yes, it is. And then when you try to download the report, it takes you to this page here. It actually starts up here. But I wanted to show you something here in the middle. So they have here blockchain's economic impact on the world, and they're doing it by country, global, total blockchain impact. So right here you have the bar at 2030. So you can see the United States at 407 billion, China at 404 billion. You know, you can see some of the other estimated impact that PwC has. The rest of the world, 473 billion. I would wonder how much of that is Africa, but we could definitely, you know, potentially take a look at that as well. Then you slide this bar down and you can see the changes in the numbers from year to year. So I would encourage you again to go to this website and just take a look at how they're doing their analysis and understand. So 2025, they're expecting the US to be 91 billion. That's 2025 when they expect to see the increase and the adoption. Let's take a look at 2021. They're saying here 15 billion. Now, I thought it was kind of weird because 2020, everything is 0. I'm not quite sure why that is. You know, these numbers are just an aggregate of everything else we're looking at. I would take a look a lot more at the trend and also look at their analysis of how they put this together. But this, again, makes us smarter blockchain consultants. Then further down, they have the top 5 uses driving blockchain adoption. Number 1 is payments. 2 is provenance. 3, identity. 4, contracts and dispute resolution. And 5, customer engagement. So this is what they are believing are the top 5 uses, use cases. So, and then I think I have one final thing to show everyone here. This is the report itself. Again, I suggest everyone read it. I just literally downloaded it as we were coming on. So I didn't have a chance to read it myself, but they break down a lot more about the top 5 use cases that they believe. And I thought I saw something else in here, but I'm not seeing it now. So, oh, yes. So here, this is what I was looking at. Here, they have broken out by what they believe are the top 5 use cases, what they see the global impact being. And you can see here, the red. Is that big enough, everybody? Do I need to make it bigger?
It's a tad bit because you want to be
Okay, let me see if I can.
Bottom.
Let me see if I can make this bigger. Yeah, that's better, right?
Okay, cool, perfect.
Okay, so they're comparing the economic contributions. They have provenance here, the payments, identity, contract and dispute resolution, and customer engagement. Again, this is not necessarily how big these are going to be. This is more about the economic contributions. But Provenance, they're expecting to have a sharp increase, super sharp increase in the economic contribution between 2025 and 2030, right? We believe that customer engagement, for example, the tokenization, the smart contracts within real estate, the contracts and the customer engagement will probably bring a lot of the money through blockchain. That's at 3.2 trillion, but they're looking at the economic contributions here. So again, just another analysis here for people to take a look at. I'm going to open it up to the team. Who wants to go first?
Well, I'll say one thing about this. Like, okay. Well, you know where my heart is in blockchain. But let me just say this, especially about Provenance. I mean, when we look at all of the problems that we have in, especially when it comes to the global supply chain for food, we've talked about it multiple times on this channel. The problems that the problems that occur when there's any kind of contamination that happens, whether it's romaine lettuce or spinach or any kind of product. And, that product goes all the way through the global supply chain to the point where it is on grocery store shelves. Customers have bought it. It is now at home about to be cooked. And then the word comes out, oh my gosh, don't eat that. It's potentially contaminated, just throw it away. And the very fact of, where that could have been caught, before it even got to the grocery store, I mean, that would just save a huge amount of money for everybody involved, for just the counterparty risk of that, of the grocery stores, the suppliers, everyone who's involved with that, that would save so much. So I think we've always said that blockchain is, and once again, paired up together with IoT devices, seems like it's just really like a glove, real hand and glove fit for it. So it doesn't surprise me that they didn't come away with that first.
I think the provenance, I think the contribution, I think it's the wording, because what the contribution means is that everybody has to buy into that system. It is going to be the most expensive system because everybody has to adopt it first and foremost before everything else. You can use a smart contract without buying anything. You can also identify all those other things are ancillary to the base infrastructure of getting those systems set up that you can do all of those other things. That's why it's first. Provenance means anything. So this is where we're talking about cryptocurrencies to actual digital assets, to physical products, to digital product. Everything has to be able to assess, to determine, and to validate. That all has to be done, and every system has to do it. And that in itself is truly the greatest contribution portion. That makes perfect sense to me. 2020, we're not over in 2020. So that's why you can't have any information, because we're not done with the year, and they're not looking at it in that manner. So again, we're looking at what we have to do. And that to me is also a really strong key indicator. They know that they have to have that system up and running. To make any of those other forecasts, you have to have one thing in place. And so that to me gives us a really critical insight into what we need to be looking at. Because I said all those other things we can do, we may or may not need a platform, but those other ones actually require the platform.
Yeah, I was just thinking as an opportunist, I would target the UK. I'm actually from the UK, and everything in the UK is imported. Everything. They're an island. If you think about it. So they're going to be plenty busy, and there will be a lot of volume coming in and out of the UK, especially going into the UK, because everything is imported. So and it's everything, including energy too also. Yep.
I mean, that's here in the United States. We have those same issues. Hawaii, Alaska, we have those inbound places that don't have. Also, we have infrastructures that are deteriorating at a very large rate. So again, anything that has to be upgraded now has to not only be upgraded, but has to have that update to it. So now do you go bypass that little median part, like, oh, we just need to get up and running, or do we go all in and create a system that now has the provenance components and the blockchain underneath it? So, that's half of, the major urban cities that we're dealing with now. And I think we talked about this in a couple weeks ago, where you were showing the videos of how everything has to be upgraded and some of the smart cities. So again, if you're trying to fix a city like Detroit, are you going to really just try to get it to a 1980s standard, or are you now going to really try to make it into a smart city to utilize everything that you have available to you to make that city much more effective and efficient?
Talisa, you're making me think about what you always say. What are the pain points?
Yeah, I'm always about like, what's that part? What you got to make me do? Because again, I have to build the system. I'm always thinking of like, where are we going and why are you making me jump through hoops? Because I'm not taking it from A to A.1. I'm not doing it. You're going to have to give me scope. And scope really tells you where to go. If you're telling me this is a big behemoth thing, great. Now I can make those increments. You can't tell me that, we're just going to do a little bit right now. Hold off. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, so this is a great opportunity. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to mention that government, your question was, does Detroit, for example, decide that they're going to go from A to P, let's say, and do a whole smart city thing, or do they just decide to do increments? I do believe when it comes to government, they tend to be a lot less predictable than, companies, corporations, etc. At least in my opinion, based on what I've seen, people I've spoken with, etc. So what you and I think is rational for a city may not end up being what's, what happens. But I'll also say within the United States, from a state point of view, states are recognizing that they are competing with other states for top tech companies. And they're starting off with the tax codes, right? So that's why you see a lot of people leaving California, New York, going to southern states, going to Texas. These governors are doing a lot in order to entice these companies, right? However, there are aspects of California and New York that people do like. And I do think that it's possible that some of these states and eventually counties will invest in their smart city infrastructure in order for it to have an appeal of a Singapore, for example. Singapore is probably the best example that I could think of right now. The appeal of a Singapore, yet it's in Pflugerville, Texas, right? Again, it's just a thought. I have no proof beyond what I'm saying, but I do think that could be some of the breadcrumbs if people are looking at government. Some of the
maybe the
breadcrumbs
opposite may be true too, because again, if you're trying to court these wonderful behemoth enterprises to come, they're going to have an infrastructure that supports them.
Yes.
So, and also the little, again, ancillary things. So we're talking about the Walmarts. Walmart sources a lot from from everywhere they are. So they get their produce from the local individuals. They're going to mandate, like we talked about before, like if you want to be on our system, you got to do it. You have to apply to us. And that may become the issue, is now you have these little mom and pops that are like, oh, we gotta do this to make sure. So there might be a grappling of everybody trying to be like, we're courting the enterprise. We gotta satiate the enterprise. They become the issue, and now the government has to really get along and say, okay, well, you gotta have it here because this is what it's supporting our income for our state.
I got a question though about this. Does anyone feel that looking at those, and Sheree, obviously they started compiling that data for, that's not anything at the last minute. But does anyone feel that COVID will change any of that? It will be an accelerant or maybe slow the growth of something else?
I think everything has it's still the same impetus, because all of those things, again, fall in line with what you need to do. You can't have any of that without the protocols of identification, provenance. It's just kind of stair-stepped. It's the same thing, and I think it's moving with that same, maybe some precaution. Certain industries may even have more and some may have less, pharmaceuticals are definitely going to have to comply. There's no way around it. They're
Okay,
going
got
to be mandated to adhere to those standards. We may have retail kind of come and go when it's feasible for them. But some of those things are not, like, I mean, you have the polarization of what needs to happen, medical supplies, all the supply chain that has to do with that, and then everything else just trickles back. And that's historically how it always goes when you have those kind of things. You know, necessities always come first. So supply chain is in there. Our food, typically when we don't grow it and it has to come in, it's going to be real important to us. So it's just going to have to be the way it is.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Makes sense.
So I do have a call at 8:30, so we're going to do this final article super duper fast, and then we're going to get out of here. So this is an article that came out. House Representatives introduced bill expanding electronics records to include blockchain. Chairs of the Congressional Blockchain Caucus, Representatives David Schweikert of Arizona and Darren Soto of Florida, reintroduced legislation earlier this week to expand government use and the definition of blockchain, ensuring the use of the technology for electronic records and signatures. Quote, I am pleased to reintroduce this critical legislation to ensure our laws are working to support emerging technologies like blockchain. Too many of our laws are continuing to prohibit innovation and advancements for efficiency in our society. This legislation is a part of the Congressional Blockchain Caucus's continued work to future-proof our policy. So they have here the Blockchain Records and Transaction Act, HR 8524. I don't know where it is in, possibility or any of that, but if any of you are government geeks and y'all want to dig into that law and then come and give us a presentation on it, we would love to hear it, because these types of things can have a huge effect positively or negatively, depending on when they pass, who it passes under, how it's worded. There is a friend of mine who has been trying for years to get one word in a piece of legislation changed from may to shall. And he said that that would add billions of dollars a year for HBCUs. So even one word of legislation can have a huge impact. I'm sorry?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He said just changing it from may to shall would add.
One word.
Okay, I'm done.
I'm done.
Sure.
Pack it in.
Yeah, he's been lobbying. I've known him for over 5 years, and he's been lobbying since before I met him for one word to be changed.
Yep.
So these things are important, and they're important not only on the federal level. We're not partisan here, but voting for president is just one piece of it. Like, your senators.
You're voting for the administration.
You're voting for the administration. All of those. Secretary Mnuchin has a whole lot of power right now. The Treasury Secretary. Nobody elected him, right? But you also have your state senators and your county clerks and all of those people as well. And legislation can help us or hurt us. Especially when it comes to making money in blockchain.
Those things that you just spoke about, the electronic records and identity, are highlighted on that report that you just showed. So that's the tie right there, because again, those are base functions of the government. They have to have a system that allows that functionality to take place. And that virtual identity is really big, but also the electronic record. How do you move all of those records?
Yeah.
Is a big thing.
Yeah, so you all know I always say it's not what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Some of you need to be in the crosshairs of either government officials knowing you or lobbyists knowing you. Because when things pass, there's a guy named T. Harv Eker that did this presentation called Speed Wealth in the 90s. You all can hear it on YouTube. Just Google it on YouTube, Speed Wealth by T. Harv Eker. And he said, anytime there's a change in technology, in the law, in customer demands, somebody gets rich. and when he said that, it was kind of a mic drop thing.
Wow.
People are about to get rich from blockchain.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
with that, I'm going to let everyone have their closing comments. Everybody in the chat can give me a mic drop, please. So Eric, I'm going to have you go first. Final comments about tonight.
No, just really quick, everything you highlighted from those articles showed that there is a real transformation that's about to take place. You're listening to this, you're following along, you're going to be a part of that transformation. So you're going to be on the right side of it. I believe that.
Talisha?
I'd echo the same thing. Right now, this is where the ideation is really important. It's not about building it right now. It's about talking about what could be built.
Richard?
Yeah, I say within blockchain, if you can find a way to serve the many, for service to many leads to greatness, into a lot of bags.
I don't know if I should play Biggie Small or the OJs right now. We're talking about money, we're going to have a theme song. So I want to thank you, Richard, for being our special guest. And Dr. Keisha is reaching out to others of you as well to come be on the panel. You know, we can talk about an article, talk about what you're doing, all of that stuff. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I hope you have a great week. And we'll see you next Wednesday for Blockchain Chat. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.